All right, let me bring in tonight's panel. Hugh Hewitt, of course, NBC News political analyst, host of the Hugh Hewitt Show and Salem Radio Networks. Jennifer Palmieri was the communications director for the Clinton campaign in the Obama White House. And Dan Balz is the chief correspondent at the Washington Post. Easily the best title here. Hugh, we were talking in the green room in this respect. Does the Republican leadership here, do they have more of a problem on the right of their party? House Freedom Caucus, Mo Brooks, I think we know where he stands on this bill. Or do they have more of a problem on the left of their party, say Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rob Portman? What say you after hearing that interview?
The critical path to passage is in the Senate, and there are 4 Republican senators who said you have to save the Medicaid expansion, and so they've got to get the bill to the Senate, and they've got to get it from the Senate back to the House, so it is on the left side of the party that they have to deal.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Well, they've got a problem on the left, and they've got a problem on the right.
I was just going to say, I don't know how they do this, because here's what I do know. Maybe Jennifer will correct us. I can't think of any Democrats that are going to help the Republican Party in this one and replace too many Mo Brooks votes.
No, I agree with that. I mean, there are senators, as Hugh knows, on the right who stepped up today and criticized.
Mike Lee,
right,
was at that press conference.
Yeah. So they've got that problem. Rand Paul is another one. Yeah. So they've got that problem on the right, and they've got the problem with the Medicaid expansion group, the 4, on the left. I don't know yet, but, you know, as everybody says, we're at a very early stage of this. It's not as though this is going to somehow sail through quickly.
What's amazing is how much, though, that the House Republican leadership is trying already to sell this.
Yeah.
So hard, which tells you...
But without the White House.
And
really,
they don't have them in there. First of all, do you think Obamacare Light is a fair description of this plan?
Yeah, that is. I mean, it is the same. It's the same. It's the...
Just what Paul Ryan wanted to hear.
It will help so many. Yeah, I'm sure it will help so many House Republicans for me to say so. But it does. It is keeping a. I mean, it would do a lot of damage, and a lot of people would lose coverage, and it's probably not ultimately sustainable, fiscally speaking. But it is. I can see why. You know, Congressman Brooks has the problem that he does. I mean, the Freedom Caucus just said it was socialized medicine. This thing is not going to become law. This Congress is not going to be the first Congress that rolls back that rolls back a benefit like this.
And here's
it's never happened in American history. And like, look at in the White House is hanging back. I understand it's also a hard position the White House is in. Do we lead do we lock ourselves into supporting a particular bill, or do you let the debate play out? But it seems dangerous to let this debate play out without leadership.
Here's the problem here's the problem for the base in the Republican Party, Hugh. Let me play this montage of what's been said about Obamacare the last 4 years.
Obamacare is nothing more than the largest tax increase in the history of the world.
Many Democrats had recently come out against Obamacare, saying specifically they understood now about the death panels and other things.
Obamacare is really, I think, the worst thing that has happened in this nation since slavery. And it is, in a way, it is slavery.
Obamacare is the single biggest job killer in this country.
Everything about Obamacare was a lie. It was a filthy lie.
This is why I understand why Mo Brooks and Mike Lee are sitting there and Rand Paul are going, we've been saying this is the worst. Not saying we disagreed with how they did it on the margins. No. This is the worst plan ever created in the history of mankind. Stop.
I believe that the bill that was put forward is a major retooling of the healthcare delivery system in the United States, in that it devolves Medicaid to the states and would allow for a genuine capping of the out-of-control entitlement. That's the center of this reform, as is getting rid of the appeals, the taxes, and the mandate. Therefore, I think getting it to the Senate allows step 2 to come forward. I don't agree that it's Obamacare light. I think it's a significant evolution away from it back towards markets, but it is mostly the Medicaid devolution. That's the heart of it that Republicans have to focus.
But tell me this, Dan, everything they've done, it seems as if this bill, some form of it, and by the way, that whatever comes out of the House will be a more conservative version than whatever comes out of the Senate. I think we know. How is it that they're going to be able to pass a bill that Democrats won't be able to essentially, if they get power again, say, well, we're going to just use this architecture, and we're going to go back to the old Medicaid formulas, and we're going to go back to this? Seems like it's a pretty easy way.
Well, if Medicaid is devolved to the states, that's a significant, as Hugh says, that's a significant thing.
You're assuming they can pull that off.
Well, I was just going to say,
I don't buy it.
Republican governors have talked about that for 10 years, and they've never been able to quite figure out what's the formula.
And not all of them
that holds them relatively.
They always say they want it until they start looking at the details. I'm like, wait a minute, do I really want this?
They want the flexibility. Yeah. But the pricing is always a problem. So that's a major, you're right, it's a big reform. It's a big if in terms of the reform and how you structure it, particularly because of what's happened with Obamacare, with some states expanding and some states not. So that alone is a big problem. But the idea that this bill is shocking to, the Freedom Caucus, also, it shouldn't be a surprise. Everything that has been said about this issue as Republicans have tried to grapple with it has moved it in the direction of what the House leadership has done here. So the idea that this is somehow a shocking departure from those who say we got to repeal it, what have they been watching for the last 6 months?
Very quickly, Jennifer, is there a point where some Democrats think, why don't I get involved with this?
I can't imagine.
No?
I can't imagine. This does not look like a winner. It's like human nature is takes over too at this point, where everybody believes. Nobody liked, the popular opinion wasn't as strong as it could be, I would say, for the Affordable Care Act until people believe you're going to take something away from them. Right. That's what made it hard to pass in the first place, was human nature not believing that you're going to give them something, but people are going to believe they're going to lose something here.
You mean like all those promises?
Don't see
like all those promises of getting tax cuts?
Like
that became permanent?
These things,
yes.
This is an unconventional time, an unconventional presidency, but some laws of gravity still apply.
It is amazing. Parties come in swearing they can do things until they have the power to do it.